Welcome, everyone. This is Cindy at an open door. It is currently Monday, December 16th, and the name of this particular gathering is Where the Rubber Meets the Road, where we take an idea or ideas from A Course in Miracles and we explore how they can be implemented um, in our dream world. Richard's here, so I use the term dream a lot more often when Richard's in the room. Or dreamed, how can we use Course in Miracles concepts or ideas within the dream to perhaps bring the dream closer to reality, or maybe even wake up from the dream, who knows? And when I sat for what we were going to be looking at, I was drawn to lesson 73, I Will There Be Light. And as is my habit and also my joy, I tend to begin these sessions with a song. Um, one of the ideas one of the ideas within this teaching is then when you recognize that your true will is the same as God's, and not the will of the egoic person, the egoic self, there is tremendous freedom. When you let go of thinking that you need something outside of yourself in order for you to be okay, what happens is an opening within and a freedom. So when I sat for today's song, the song is John Baptiste's Freedom. This video is something that Rana introduced me to, and it is in the An Open Door YouTube playlist. So I'm going to put this on pause and there's a line in that song repeated a couple of times. Now it's your time to shine. I will there be light. Now it's time. Now it's your time to shine. And if you do, I'm gonna too. Sort of like this rising in consciousness together. Let's remember who we are together and shine our light and be free. Isn't that awesome? I think it's so friggin' awesome. All right. And the other thing about it that I want to say before I talk about my notes and then hand it over, he said, now it's your time. And in several places in this one lesson, it's written, today is the day. You can succeed today. You will succeed today to shine the light. In the moment you decide that you're going to align with your higher self and not your egoic self. So all that's really required there. Now is the time, today. And so one of the things that the ego likes to do is talk about how good these teachings are and how I will implement them when I have time or later, or perhaps, when I get home, I'll sit or when I'm feeling better. That comes up, there's too much going on and I am in too much pain for me to remember that God loves me. It's kind of, I've never left the support. So I'll do it later. Over and over in this teaching, it says today. Today you will succeed. It's kind of interesting to me that I've been working with these teachings and studying them. And, David says I'm a good teacher and everything. And somehow it didn't really hit home until I sat in preparation for now. How often this lesson 73. We're not even talking about lesson 360. It's lesson 73. It's in the third month. of a 12-month criteria. It literally says today. You will succeed today. Um, if you want to. So where I wanted to highlight, there's a line in this lesson that states, your picture of the world can only mirror what is within. You've heard me say it, Joel Goldsmith's teaching is the world I see is a reflection of my current level of consciousness. For me, it's the same type of thing. So let me accept that, right? What I apparently am experiencing as a separate character is not something that's happening to me. It's a reflection of what I am asking for based on my current level of consciousness or the beliefs, the grief. In this lesson, it's literally idle wishes and grievances. Literally just said, if you're in a fearful world, it's because you are cherishing grievances over your love of God. It's a very the more I sat with these teachings, the clearer they came here. If you're suffering, it's because you're choosing to hold on to your grievances. Then it just literally just says, so what do you want? What do you desire? If you desire truth today, if you desire truth, then here's all you have to do is choose it and recognize that the grievances, the anger, the frustration, everything that you are claiming is out there happening to you is nothing other than a reflection of your current level of consciousness, a reflection of the grievances here. There is no cause and form ever. That's all through the lessons, right? There's no cause and form. There's nothing outside of you that could hurt you in any way. This lesson also says, though, but it doesn't mean it doesn't do anything. If you continually believe in the world out there, you are feeding and brightening the illusion. Yeah, cool. It says it right away. It says you're not making anything that's real, but you're continuing the hamster wheel that keeps the illusion in place. Its wishes are not idle in the sense that they can make a world of illusions in which your belief can be very strong. But they are idle indeed in terms of creation. They make nothing that is real. So here I am. I'm hanging in a world. I appear to be suffering. There is a belief here that others are doing things to me, car thieves, for instance, that keep stealing the same car over and over again. It's becoming more entertaining. Um, so there is an apparent worldly cause for suffering, and there has been a collective consciousness belief that these things are happening, and the teachings and all these different traditions say, yeah, well, it feels really real because collectively you've been believing it a really long time. And now, which is the only time that ever exists, we can choose differently. And what I wrote here, and it can be as simple as if you see a world that you must defend against, know that what you are seeing is a reflection of grievances, places of unforgiveness held inside. There is no cause and form. And when you're wanting to do the work to rise in consciousness, to know the truth, to let the world you see out there be a reflection of the light, I will there to be light, then the work becomes whatever your current process is, which is why I tend to not go to the specific process at the end of each of these lessons anymore. I tend to have a favorite process, and we could talk about processes. The process is just what we do. It's the intention that holds the magic. It's the choice and the intention, and it becomes as simple in this teaching of if you're accepting that these teachings point to truth, and so many of our teachings say that the world of duality is a house of mirrors, you know. So your picture of the world can only mirror what is within. Those are great lines. And Joel says, what you see out there is the current level is a reflection of your current level of consciousness. Period. And if you're happy and you're not suffering, then just immerse in it. And this has nothing to do, by the way, of fully immersing yourself in what's going on in the minute, in the moment. I've noticed a lot of confusion here. It's about, we're really talking about Course in Miracles, a mind training program. So it's actually all about our thinking, right? How much time this morning I walked around feeling very dense for a while. And I recognized it had nothing to do with anything going on in the moment. The thinking mind or the self-referencing eye filtering system was on, and it was high, and it was moving from topic to topic to topic, and I was moving in and out of being pulled into it. But literally, it appeared like its only function was to keep me in the body and in dense and in thinking about a world that was not currently in the present moment. Concerns about my sister, you know, work on an open door that needs to be done later, you know, at one point it was neighbors I hadn't seen in a year. Like it didn't matter as long as it was activity that held me apart. And there was this feeling that I needed to prove myself to the, like, I needed to do things to prove that I was valuable or to, you know, and all of that felt heavy. Not in a big way, not in a, it was, I was noticing it. It wasn't anything that isn't part of the separate person's character. It was just being viewed from a different perspective. And I'm recognizing this teaching in that. There are opinions, there are grievances, there are beliefs in the past that are that I'm being able to witness Cindy is experiencing the world through. And if I accept that only God's will and my will are the only thing that actually flows and creates eternal kind of change and shift and expansion or whatever, and grievances aren't that, then the moment I feel that density, what keeps me from asking for the from doing the process that allows it to be forgiven? And I notice it's a belief in a fear of being exposed in some way. I refuse to hold on to that fear. Just because we've collectively been believing it as a human race doesn't mean I have to continue to agree that fear has that kind of chronic fear has value. So I'm willing to take a breath. There is an example along the fear thing that I could give, but you know, it's related to the whole car stealing story again. So many facets. But first, I'd love to know how this teaching lands, if there is a new awareness, or if there is a yeah, but, or if there is a deepening into some other aspect of any of this. The floor is open. Please, Richard.
What came to mind as you were speaking was projection makes perception, and which is another concept in the course. So if I project onto the world the separate self, then I'm going to experience or I'm going to perceive a world of separation. So for me over the years, I like to simplify things. So instead of being Richard and projecting Richard and his story on the world, I I decided to choose to be the love that I am in truth and project that. I send that into the world every day, as often as I can. And I've been experimenting with this for a few years now. And what I find out is it works. I'm not awake yet. I'm not totally awake, but I'm getting there. Every day, my dream, my perception is better and better. It's more joyful, more happy, more loving. So I figure I'm going to keep up projecting or extending the love that I am in truth and focus on that rather than focus on Richard's story. So, because I may have a few issues coming up in the near future that may be testing my ability to do this. So I figure if I can practice now and develop those muscles that allow me to extend the love that I am in 24/7, whenever I have a experience in the dream, which might appear to be less than joyful, I can then rest on my trained muscles to continue to see only the light in the world. And there's an expression I use, which I think fits with this lesson. I say this multiple times a day. I am the light of the world. The light of the world has come to every mind because I have forgiven the world. So, and I thought that was a quote from the Course, but I can't find it in the Course. So apparently I was prompted to put these words together for my use, but it seems to work for me. So the other thing I wanted to say was, in studying today's lesson, um, in the manual and the lessons, there was before today's lesson, those of you that are doing the lessons every day probably got this already. But there is a section before the lesson that says, "What am I?" And it was very powerful. It was very short, but it really is a reaffirmation of the fact that we can experience peace, love, and joy while in the illusion. And so it reflects on this lesson as well, lesson 73, as well as, so I would recommend, in addition to this lesson, if you haven't read that, you might read that also today. It might should you raise your consciousness and be a little bit more happy, joyous, and free as you walk through the day. Love you all.
Love you. As I was listening to you, I was reminded of the years that I spent with mastering alchemy. All of a sudden, I forgot his name, Jim Sell. Um, he often said, just practice when it doesn't count. And so many of my teachers have reminded me that res- we never really um, respond in the moment. We react. We could state that we respond, but in the present, whatever's hitting you in the present moment, your system reacts to it based on your current level of consciousness. And when we continue to do this work, our reaction to whatever the stimuli is rises in consciousness. You know, we have a more loving reaction to whatever is happening in the illusion or the dream or in the present moment. And so the way Jim self taught it, he said that there will be a moment when all the lights go out. That's the way I remember him teaching. There'll be a moment when all the lights go out. And whatever your first thought is, not your thought after you contemplate it for whatever your first thought is what you're going to experience when the lights come back on. And so if your first thought is a fear thought, oh my God, the world is falling apart, there's going to be nothing but monsters. When the lights come on, you're going to find yourself in hell. If your first thought is, now I get to dine with the angels, the lights come back on. And the secret sauce in that, the way I remember his teaching, is what I do in my practice, in my day-to-day reactions. And I heard that in what you just shared with my heart. And the other comes from Paul Selig. There's a lot of channeling in my life when I was hearing you, because the guides, and been spending a lot of time with the guides, and I am recognizing based on their teaching that what I claim in any given moment is very, very, very important, because it's what we bring to us. So it's not an affirmation when I say I am the light, and my light shines into I don't remember your specifics, but the way you said it, it felt like a claim from your higher self. So when you're making that claim, you're making a statement from the highest version of you. And every time you do that, your little self or your dream character, whatever, lets go of a little more sand from that sandbank to begin to rise to meet and eventually merge with your highest self. So it's a claim of truth. So when I state I am the light of the world, I'm making a claim from the highest version of myself. When I say, damn, life is hard and it's getting harder all the time, I am making a claim and setting an invitation to bring more low density stuff into my experience. So I found that part of your share very, very powerful and a gift. Thank you. All right. So here's my example, which oh, Rana, go.
Okay, I'll go. Yeah, I've been sitting with this lesson on and off, and it's very clear here how grievance creates this sense of duality. Because if there's a grievance, that means there's a me and a you. It's just so cut and dry, right? All of a sudden there's a separation and there's a disagreement and there's a me and a you. And I really appreciate the sentence, they become the middlemen the ego employs to traffic in grievances and stand between your awareness and your brother's reality. So grievances, I can't see with the right mind if there's a grievance there. And so this morning I ran a few errands, and I've been trying to practice presence and ask myself the question, what's here now, throughout the morning, just to kind of sink into like the moment, right? And not miss or take opportunities to see what's in the moment. So I've been doing that. And I stopped at the first place and I asked one of the people that worked there a question. And when she turned her face to look at me, I saw so much pain, you know. And it was interesting because she ended up being the person that was checking me out. And I could still see it. And I heard myself say, "Are you having a bad morning?" And she looked at me and she said, "Sort of." And like there was a part of me that wanted to reach out and touch her hand, right? And what I heard in my head was the sentence, "I'll pray for you." And I mean, I literally had all this time. It was like time had stopped or whatever. And I was like, that's not what I want to say, you know? And what just started coming was, "You're loved," but I didn't say it out loud. I just kept repeating that. "You are loved. You are loved." And it was weird because all of a sudden another cashier came up and took her place. Like, didn't say anything, just took her place. Like, So then the second place I stopped at, the person that was checking me out, I noticed her hands were shaking as she was typing on the keyboard. And I just looked in her eyes. I didn't verbally say anything, but I again was like sending her this love, you know, and gave her a smile. And then the third place I stopped was the bank. And I went in there and it was a question about something. She said, "Oh, you could have done it at the AM." And I said, "Well, maybe I was just supposed to come in here to smile at you." And she said, "Thank you so much because this place needs it." And so I was very much soaked into that, you know, that space. And I had to stop back home for something on my way to the post office. And there's a four-way stop, not a couple miles down the road from my house. And so you can go straight to get to where I was going, or you could take a right. And as I was approaching the stop sign, there was this, like I heard in my heart, "Go straight, no, go right, go straight, no, go right," right? And so I slowed down at the stop sign. And usually it's a tap on the brakes, you know, it's a four-way, whatever. It's a tap, you look, you go. And when I stopped at the stop sign and started to go, somebody was barreling through. And I just looked at her as she came through the intersection and went, because she realized she barreled through. But I just got this sense, I am so loved. I am so taken care of. And I said, "Thank you." Because it was weird when I got in the car. Sometimes I say, "Archangel Michael, please surround my car so there aren't any accidents." You know, that's an old thing. And I did not do that today. But what I heard was accident when I got in the car today. So I was just like, oh, you know, that's just a thought that comes and goes. But to see how the morning unfolded, and what was so cool was, you know, I started to go and then I stopped, but there was nothing in here that was upset or nervous or afraid. It was just like it was a natural action to go and stop. And so I feel like there's light today. I know there's always light. I feel like light is being revealed today in the now experience. And it just made errand running so much more fun. You know, it wasn't a mundane, "Oh my God, I got to rush so I can get back and sit quietly with my friends." It was just a moment, an experience. So thank you for allowing me to share that. And I'm grateful to be here with you guys who smile all the time. You know, we have joy here. Thank you.
All right. So, yeah, so a lot of people heard, the ongoing story and the most recent, and the car is now safe at a local collision shop, and Emma's going to do whatever Emma's going to do. Yeah, that part of the story that Jack has been, the money's been given from the insurance company. The car is where it could be stored. I've got to figure out if I'm going to keep it in whatever. There's this settling it. And at the end of, by Friday afternoon into Saturday, what kept coming up was this grievance against the property manager. And for anyone who didn't hear the story, she was playing her part. And when there was this recognition that I didn't know she was going to have this car towed, she was going to have the stolen car towed because she didn't like the way it looked because it had a broken window. And it wasn't about the suffering that may have been happening to the people involved. It was all about how the property looked. And man, it looks like a new car until you get real close. You don't even know whatever, doesn't matter. See, it's still a little bit more work. So she was unwilling to, um, when I went to explain the whole situation and I got the guidance to go to the office and apologize, I did all of that with the other two women in the office. And there was this heartfelt connection and a sense of being heard. And then she walked in, still on the phone. Tamara looked at her and said, "This is the woman whose daughter's car, you know, you're going to have towed." And this woman just sort of went like this: "If it's still here tomorrow, it's towed," and left. Right. And so that pressed some buttons inside. The inhumanity of it, the uncaring of it. If she only knew the trauma, and we weren't causing anyone, like I could tell you, right? So here, let's talk about this lesson, because I held myself in the edge on the borderline for a couple of days with this. In the world, I have all the justification in the world to hold a grievance, to have a judgment of another, right? I mean, the story is pretty specific. I could tell it well too. And the fun thing is, I'm so encouched and absorbed in this work that I'm only telling it in this community at this point. I haven't shared it with my mother or my sisters or anyone that would want to feed the sense that the world is out to get me, right? I've kept it. It came up during my dyad weekend this weekend, but that's the retreat, and it came up and to be looked at. So the thing is, the honest truth is that I can know all of these things, right? And I found here, in all honesty, a very strong desire to hold on to the story of another. Yes. But it's real. But she did say that. But I did feel that. But my daughter did have her car stolen 3 times. It's not our fault. Like I had such a real seeing of a belief in the story. It's so cool to see it, right? And I chose to do the forgiveness work anyway. My whole body shook. And I'd sit there for 10 minutes and I'd allow the belief and I'd do the forgiveness work and the energy would flow. And it's like I continue to claim that I am the light. And as the light, I am not the victim of the world. If I am the light, then I am not a victim of the world. If I am the light, then I'm not a victim of the world. If any of these teachings are true, then all she's done is gifted me with a view of a belief inside that the world could hurt me. Period. For the better part, off and on for 2 days, that energy of wanting to blame her continued to arise. giving me a choice over and over and over again to claim that I am not a victim of the world I see, to claim that, and I was using other processes, but essentially they're all the same. Every time it comes up here, that she said she had the nerve not even to listen to my story, right? Like how rude that, and if she was going to tell it without even letting me, and she said she looked it up, and it literally it's Emma Krupp. Oh, Emma Krupp doesn't live here. Cindy Krupp lives here. I wonder if I could take the extra step and see if it's her car. Isn't that the nice loving? See, it's I'm laughing at it now, but it was like, man, the energy of wanting to hold on to the grievance was there, and the choice to choose otherwise was there. And sometimes the energy, when I stood still and chose to ask for the forgiveness, chose to claim my right as the light of the world and not the victim of the world I see, then there is a real energetic shakeup inside. I feel nauseous, I get dizzy. I feel a little hungover today. It's a world change. But I got to tell you, yesterday into today, I can't even always remember her name at this point. Like I have to reach for it. It's undoing. And so that's my current sort of just recognition that saying yes to studying doesn't always, sometimes we've got to choose to stand still, right? There it is. I was waiting to see how long it would take for Amy.
I always have to wait so I can thank you for just being such a clear teacher with your own experience. It's such a gift to hear you be present with the arising of your own antagonism against the big S self. And so it's refreshing, it's not a failure. It's not a, oh my God, I'm going to read this because it's from chapter 4. To establish your personal autonomy, you tried to create unlike your father or your creator, believing what you made to be capable of being unlike him. Yet everything you've made that is true is like him. Only this is the real world, and perceiving only this will lead you to the real heaven, because it will make you capable of understanding it. Right? So when I say I am the light of the world, it makes me capable of understanding the light. The perception of goodness is not knowledge, but, I love this, the denial of the opposite of goodness enables you to perceive a condition in which opposites do not exist. The denial of the opposite of goodness enables you to perceive a condition in which opposites do not exist. And this is the condition of knowledge. It's just, I went to a gathering yesterday and I had a great time. I came home and I realized I was a little bit, not depressed, but just a little blue because I missed all the people I had been with and I really enjoyed being with them. And then I went to bed last night and I had my Barbara night. I found the personal mind just trying to beat me up for not being nicer to people at the gathering. And I was perfectly nice. But I was beating myself up for not being the light of the world, for not being more. And I just kind of went, wow, what a tricky little devil the ego is. So tricky. And I didn't do anything. I just decided not to listen to it and turned over and went to my imagined place where I go to sometimes at night, which is this beautiful spot. And I felt like, why not? You know, it's all in my imagination, but why not? You know, so I appreciate this lesson very much. And yeah, so when I say I'm the light of the world, I'm denying that I'm not the light of the world. Right? I'm just denying that I'm not the light. And that allows me to perceive a condition in which my opposite does not exist. Thank you. I love it. I love us. I love this. This is just what I need. And your description, Cindy, of that woman coming in with the phone and going, if it's there tomorrow, it's gone, essentially. Oh, that was perfect. What ignorance that is, really. It's just ignorance. That's all it is. It's not badness. It's, you know, it's like you said, it's just an opportunity for you
It
to,
was a gift.
yeah, it's a gift. Yeah. Thank you for reminding us of that.
David, the floor is yours.
There I am. Hello. It's so interesting today when you know I'm glad we're seeing this lesson. I will be the light, or I am the light of the world. I had a situation yesterday where I had to stand up in front of a group of people and announce something after the president of our board of directors announced there wasn't going to be a meeting. And my wife and I, with separate reasons, we had to announce our announcement whether there was a meeting or not. And so she did, and then I did, and I come to find out that this president person had said negative things about both of us. And so I just, so I had that to think about. And then I had a wonderful day. I went to church. I mean, after church, we went to nursing homes and sang Christmas carols for a bunch of different places, and that was all good. But then last night I couldn't sleep, and I just couldn't sleep, and I couldn't sleep, and about halfway through the night I said, well, I'm going to have to take more sleeping medication. So I did. So this morning I got up and I'm hungover and all that because I kind of overdosed. And so today my brain isn't working, and I'm just fuzzy, and I had a little migraine situation already today, and it's just like, but even though I feel this crappy person, in spite of that, I am the light of the world. And so my job today is to remember that I am the light of the world, even though things didn't go my way for the last 24 hours or whatever. But I still am the light of the world. And if I can remember that and love that and be that, the other stuff really doesn't matter. It's just like, it's just wallpaper on the story of my life, and just let it go and say, okay, that happened. But I'm still the light of the world, and that's my job. That's my full-time job, and just do that, and the other stuff will fall away because it's not important. And I've spoken. I love to say that.
I love that too. And Sandra, just so I don't forget, Richard, can you tell us what the 3 lines of your claim are again? I want to write them down.
I am the light of the world. The light of the world has come to every mind because I have forgiven the world.
The light of the world. Thank you. Sandra, it's all yours.
Hello, everyone. Hello, my friends. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, everyone, for this beautiful teaching. And I echo what Amy said about how you bring the teaching right into the current experience of life and demonstrate for us how that process works for you. And I appreciate that. I keep reading this one line over and over. It's in the second paragraph. The wishes of the ego give rise to all of this. The ego's need for grievances. It's like the ego is thirsty for grievances. Because you described that so well. And it says, which are necessary to maintain it. People it with figures which seem to attack you and call for righteous judgment. And I bet every one of us, I'm sure, could give lots of examples of this. And a couple of things came to mind. The first was that, and I don't know why these phrases from the Bible have been coming to me a lot lately, but they have. And it was the whole line where the people were in the desert and they wanted food and God dropped manna from heaven. But the instruction was, you can't save it up. You can't save it up. You can't gather a bunch the next day, it's no good. You have to depend on that manna coming every day. And I was thinking that's true of today, and not just every day, every moment. As I walk through the day, I was under the naive idea that when I woke up, bing, then I would be, it would always, I wouldn't have to do anything anymore. It would all just be totally natural. And, but you described a process, and that process, for me, it is so true. Like, if I started with what I call little things. Of course, there's no order of difficulty in miracles, but it seems as though some are easier than others. And the more I practice with just really, like I call them stupid little things in my mind, it does become muscle memory. And I course correct when the ego tries to pull me, really wants to pull me. And I love that you called them gift. You called it a gift, because that's what I do too. I call it a gift wrapped in a package. I don't recognize it first as a gift. It doesn't look like a gift. Doesn't taste like a gift. It doesn't feel like a gift. And yet now I know for certain they are gifts, because all I have to do, it's become easier and easier. Oh, there was another thing I used to do, which I don't recommend. I used to, when something happened, I would say, that person is the light of the world. And my mind would go into gear to think of good reasons why they would act that way. I used to do that.
Michael
Yeah.
Singer has taught us all how. invaluable it is to use the thinking mind to
It
justify
doesn't work.
behavior of
It
another.
doesn't work. It's like I'm
That's
trying
not
to
this teaching.
just want to rationalize their behavior. No, that doesn't work. What does work? You call it the secret sauce. I love that phrase. I love that I know the truth. I know the truth. And with every gift the world gives, the seemingly real world, which isn't, but with all those gifts, just continually reinforce and make stronger the being that is truly light. And then what happens is I start seeing what's happening differently. I don't even need to call it a gift anymore. It's just simply is. And it's my opportunity to remember, my opportunity to once again taste the joy of remembering and being light, knowing without trying to figure out what this person needs or that person needs. No, just as Richard said, be love, and it will work. It will work. It's whatever it's supposed to do. So, love that you brought us this lesson this morning, and I'm very grateful to all of you.
You know, there is something outside of the personality that pulls these lessons into this teaching, right? I literally sit
know.
with the book and open it at random and then wait to find out what the teaching is and then share.
Yes, yes, I do that too. I just do that. Okay, what do I need to learn today? But I still am great. I still have gratitude that wants to be expressed.
Hey, William, so glad you're here.
I find that I just keep saying, I am. And then I stop and I say, not that, not that, not that, not that, not that. None of those words, none of those thoughts. That's just more belief. I am. I just turn, I am. And it's that silence that I see. That's not me. That's not you. That's not, that's not, that's not, that's not. All those words, all those words, all those thoughts, they're thoughts, they're thoughts, they're thoughts. It just seems so clean and clear when I stop, I am. And, and just the appreciation. And when I hear all the words, it's like I don't have to listen to these thoughts that are going through my mind because they're being said. They're being said for all of us. And that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. So it's that silence. And I don't put words to it. It's just more thoughts. And it becomes so clean. And I think it's just, I see the space beyond us, beyond the words, beyond the thoughts. So I just appreciate. That much I know. I feel that. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
I've heard Joel Goldsmith teach that the most truthful uh, word to describe God or consciousness or whatever is just the word I. I. The moment you say anything after that word, you're qualifying God.
And I do have this phrase, there is no because. There is no because, no past, future, no bullet, no cause, fact, just now.
So we have a minute. Whose voice? I think Richard's told us he loves us, right? We heard that. Barbie hasn't said anything. She may be the only one with the video on here.
I really don't have anything to say, but I'm just so grateful that from your experiences, I'm learning that I am just, I, I mean, I've, you explain it so, Cindy, I've learned so much from you, from your journey that it's hard to explain, it's hard to put it into words. And then when I listen to Joel, it's like, I get that and I'm engrossed in this thing now. And it's like, I'm learning more and more, but I sometimes just can't express how I feel. And I guess I'm beyond that now. I have no idea. But I just love this group and I get a lot of teachings from all of you. And I put it in my practice and it seems to be working. And Amy, I seen you in my journey last night, and I'm gonna write you an email and ask you, I want to know, can the eye play with the eye? That's what I want to know.
There's only one eye. But we could continue this, but I'm turning the recording off because the hour is up. Man, I love us. Official close.
Love us.
Project manager and me likes to start and end on the time that I've dated. All right, here we go.